Hey, what's going on? I'm Corey. I run a five-figure monthly AI automation business. And today I want to take you through and show you the top five automations that every small business needs. And I've seen this from firsthand experience. So let's jump into it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the top five automations that will buy back 10 hours this week. Now, all I need is 7 minutes, may go a little bit higher, may go a little bit lower, but I promise you by the end of it, you're going to be happy camper. So why does this matter? Why do we need five automations? Well, there's a lot of range. There's a lot of people that watch that are different industries, but ideally, this idea that founders are drowning in busy work, and if they drown in busy work, the revenue stalls. So the founders need to keep everything flowing. They're there to steer the ship. They're there to make sure that it's on a upward spiral trajectory, right? But if they're starting to go up and then it starts getting really busy, what happens is they sort of flatten out here. And we don't really like that. What the automation does is it sort of cuts this off here and it allows them to continue going up. So it is very important. And whether this could be something simple, so this could be possibly like a lead gen, and then you could have maybe not so steep, might be like a payroll automation, which we'll go through. So it's very important to sort of stay away from this curve and ensure we're going up. Now, a lot of the issues with the advice when you go searching are this sort of edge case hacks. So you'll see it everywhere with, oh, you want to payroll, you want to increase your payroll or efficiency. Like in this line here, employ an agent. You need a AI agent. And this is not really the case. You don't really need agents for everything. This is the in thing at the moment. Sad robot. uh, we You want to make sure that it's optimal for the business. AI agents work perfectly fine. However, there's a time and place for them. You don't really need to implement them in like a small business. For example, if you're a small accounting firm, sure, they could be implemented, but it's sort of overkill. So what we're going to go through in this video is we're going to address, I keep crossing through the videos, we're going to address the five universal workflows. Now, you should be able to get most of, nearly all of these could probably get employed into your business. They're designed to ensure that everyone gets something out of it, that you can go in and you can implement it tomorrow and it'll make a difference. It will increase that change that we saw in the graph. So what are we going to cover? We're going to go very quickly through invoicing and auto filing and digesting. Everyone has invoicing. Everyone needs to file it, I would hope. You don't want to just put your papers everywhere. This will either be, Google Docs, or it might be sending you an email, but regardless, it's somewhere. And then we're going to go through a lead form. We're going to go through missed calls. We're going to go through Stripe payments, and then we're going to go through a daily Slack digest, which is also called alert batching. So onto the first one. Let's change it to red. The common misconception with automation that I find that everyone has it. So we may go to a business and say you need a lead invoice auto filing. However, the misconceptions that always come up is I need fancy tools and I need the latest and greatest. I have to train new people and I have to, automation equals overnight, more pings, more control. And it's simply not true. A lot of these, it is as simple as getting it done, just using Make and Zapier. Zapier itself is you go in and you do a prompt So you literally just go in on Zapier on their search and just say, I want to streamline, or I want to connect my Google Mail with my Excel spreadsheet. Enter, and it creates the whole thing. So you don't need all this really fancy stuff, and a lot of it can be done in that same method, but then you just include a G Suite into it. So include your emails, include any sort of your sheets, your words, and all of that, and that's usually enough to just get you started and get you over the finish line. The other thing is they think that automation just overnight happens and you can just click your fingers and it's done. They might see a complex flow or a simple flow, sorry, and they might just say, well, that was easy. So it might be something like this with 3 flows, but there's still logic that needs to be played, with this one. Does it need like a backdoor request, like a HTTP or a webhook? And then this may not be compatible with this, or this one might not exist. So we still need to map the logic and say, does this connect to this? Does it connect to this? My circles are atrocious. And then the other thing they have is more pings equals more control. So a lot of the owners we talk to, they think, yes, every time this goes off, just ping it to me. Give me a Slack alert. Give me an email. Give me every alert under the sun. And that's simply not the greatest. It causes a lot of fatigue. And when you open your emails and you see 20 make emails, make.com or Zapier's, hey, successful flow, or hey, this data transfer has happened, it's not the most optimal in it. So it does destroy focus. We will go through this in the last one with our daily Slack digest. But these are the 3 main misconceptions that I often see. So workflow number 1. Now I'm going to go through these very quickly, explain the concept behind them, how they work, and sort of like an impact that it can have on your business. So an auto invoicing, like we said, everyone always invoices. You should be invoicing. The tax man will come after you otherwise. So we need a way to file them. And this could be as simple as just an email with an invoice within the subject line. So you can have a make.com with an email, and what it's looking for is the word invoice. And then once it finds an invoice, it'll go to the next one and it'll add it to a Google Drive. It could be something as simple as that. So you could trigger it and you don't even have to do anything, because you'll receive this mail in your inbox. It's a mailbox, and you'll just go about your day. But what will happen on the back end is it will go through and it will store it into the Google Drive completely on autopilot. Now, this could also be a end of day Slack digest. So what we talked about before, you could have end of day for staff. So you could have deliverables completed today. You could have a million things, and all you would need to do is just label it a certain word that can be identified, and it can be added into the filters like so. This will save approximately 1 hour per week of bookkeeping. Anyone who's at the stage of bookkeeping, you'll know that it takes a long time to separate the invoices, invoice paid, invoice outstanding, and just every one. And if you don't do it, bookkeepers get very mad. So we like to keep them happy. The workflow number 2 is a lead form. So you could have a site form. We're going through different colors here. Let's go purple. So a site form, a website form, any sort of form. You can even do it as a web chat. You can do it as a landing page site form. You can just anything. But whenever that gets filled in, normally on the web page, you'll fill in the data and it will go to a CRM. What could also happen is on the back end, you may put in a web flow to say when a form is submitted, that data is stored on an Airtable. And those who aren't familiar, an Airtable is similar to a Google Sheet, a Microsoft Excel. It's the same concept. It's just the Airtables can be used a lot more heavily in the data storing and like a database with the functionalities that it has. So this could be added completely on autopilot. So you might see this section here, and then this may be triggering on the back end. We can even take it one step further. You could add a scoring system. So all the information will get stored into your Airtable. So you would sort of have it in your CRM. But then possibly we put a scoring system. If a lead mentions they make between 20 and 50K a month, perhaps a lead has a certain address that you're looking for, perhaps a lead is a certain job criteria that you're looking for, you can add these filters and layers in after the Airtable. So once it all gets put in, we can say, this is the person I want. We want him. We want to be notified when people like this person gets placed in. And then what that leads to is it can be then added as another one, which could be a message. We'll say Slack, or it could be a one for an email. It could just be another notification and just say, hey, important person right here. You need to address it straight away. And this is what we sort of use Slack for. And you can do it and just make sure that it's like this is a real lead that we need. And speed is definitely an important factor of that. And also prevents dead lead chasing. So, anyone under this score is like a maybe, and then you can decide whether you want to dedicate resources to it. Workflow number 3, a missed call revenue. Now, missed calls is a huge gap, a huge amount of people, especially when we go into the blue collar and the tradie industry or the trades industry. Miscalling is costing so much money. It's a scary amount. And when they call through, if they don't get through to you, they're not going to, where they're going to go? Are they going to wait for you to call them back, or are they going to go to the competitor? 9 times out of 10, they go to the competitor. Now, that can result in a lot of lost money. Even so, if you're a trade such as a call-out trade, a plumber, a electrician, what other trades do we have? The trades like that, I've lost my mind. Trades like that is so important because they have an emergency, they need it right now. And if you just ghost them, they're not going to call you back. It's as simple as that. So, what we can set up is a trigger for a missed inbound call. And we can send them an SMS straight away, and we can say, sorry, we missed you. Book here, and give them a link straight away. So what happens normally is a phone, let's do a mobile, or we can do an old school one. That's sort of how they looked for the young people. So what happens is when they do this, normally you'll call them back possibly 3 hours later. Now, by that stage, they're gone. They're already gone to your local competitor when you call them back. But what can happen now is we can implement a missed call. So the moment we get a missed call, we instantly send them a SMS. And then we hope that they book there. Usually they do. But what happens then is that when this 3 hour passes, they've been warmed. They've been, this, it doesn't have to be, sorry, missed call, book here. It could be, hey, sorry, just at a job. What time would you prefer? And you can set up sort of this conversation with them. What time would you prefer looking? Is this an emergency? You could even go as far as, is this an emergency? And if they say yes, you can put in another node to redirect it to a certain number, possibly an emergency number that you have. So that's pretty much what it is. What we see is around a 20% of lost calls into meetings, which is quite significant considering, one in every five is getting you into the meeting, considering you'd lose them. And if we're going in the trades industry, you're looking at $300-400 gained right there every 5 calls. On to the next one. Payments exceeding. Now, onboarding can take up a huge portion. Fitness coaches, online fitness coaches, marketing companies, any sort of digital service usually has some sort of onboarding process. Even the other businesses have onboarding process, but for example, it's very relevant in sort of these online industries. And it is so crucial that an onboarding is sorted out. We've had clients that have spent upwards of 5 to 10 hours per client sorting out an onboarding. So they would sign the contract and they'd send over an email, hey, welcome, please go here, go to this form, fill out this onboarding, give this information. And then on there, so we have like an onboarding form that they fit. No, I'm not going to put OF. Onboarding form. And then they might get one to get invited to like a school community. They might get another one to go on their Slack channel. And then they might get another one for another email as a team introduction. So this is all from when this fancy contract is signed. It goes here, it goes here, it goes here. So this can be a fairly lengthy, and some are a lot bigger than this as well. But all this can be automated, and this is the greatest thing. So most of your payment merchants, Stripe is a main one, but most of them are Make.com and Zapier. So you can just set up a node for Stripe, and it sort of has a filter. That's a beautiful filter that says when it's a success, when it's a good payment that's gone through, then what we're going to do is we are going to trigger all of this. So we trigger the welcome form, we trigger the intake form, and it goes completely on autopilot. On top of this, we can also additionally add a task. So once this is done, we can add another one, and we can add a task to Trello, Monday.com. You can go to a CRM, you can go ClickUp, you can go high level. You can do all of these ones. But the main important thing is the founder, the owner, is completely off the loop. And this is huge. This is very, very big. All right, next one. A daily Slack digest. So what we spoke about in the first one, we discussed how important it was that you weren't getting all of these pings, these alerts. There's nothing worse than being in a meeting and then it's pinging and you mute it and you come out and you have a million things. Someone's trying to go you from this direction, someone's grabbing you from this direction. Everyone wants your attention. So what I find for myself as well and clients is that we set up a alert system that pings off at 5 p.m. every day, and it gives you deliverables of everything. There's obviously, if someone needs you in an emergency, there's obviously methods to get hold of you. But what it does is it stops that ping that takes your attention and takes your focus away from what you're currently doing, and then addressing that, coming back, and you lose 5-10 minutes of focus time here, 5-10 minutes of focus time here, and it takes you about 20 minutes of lost energy to actually refocus in and get into that flow state. So one of the greatest ones that we have is a daily Slack digest. We choose Slack because that's the platform that we operate on. This could be this could be Microsoft Teams, this could be Telegram, this could be WhatsApp, completely up to you. But all of the ops alerts go to a Google Sheet. So often we'll have sort of a Slack channel here for the staff. We may have a Slack channel for client 1, and another one for client 2. We might have a different department. This might be the copywriters. This might be our designers. And what happens is they all bunch into a single daily digest. So at the end of the day, I get a report and I know what each one of them have done. It makes a bullet point. This is a lot better than receiving one at 1 p.m. from this person. Hey, just updated. We finished this build. This one might be 1:30. Is that build done? And then this one might be at 3. This one might be at 4. This one might be at 8 a.m. And rather than doing all of this, which is 20 minutes each, so we're looking automatically here at 100 minutes just from 4 pings. That takes off focus. We group them into there. So this is usually as simple as your single channel. So Slack, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp, anything. It will go into a Google Sheet, and then from there it will send you an email, or it will send you maybe it's an own Telegram, maybe you have your own channel that you want it to go to. But whatever the endpoint is, however you operate the best, it'll go there. And that, although it's simple, is incredibly huge. And you'll be surprised at how much relief it takes off at the end of the day, going through all these. Now, let's look at this in terms of deals and hours saved. And this is the real crux. This is what we've been trying to lead up to. Okay, Corey, you've gone through all these 5 flows. You've talked for I don't know how long now, but what do you want? What's your point of this? So just in hours saved, we're looking at 4 or 5 hours just for 5 very simple flows. Each one took 2-3 modules. You can easily just go in, watch the video over, and you can just put it in Zapier and say, I want my Slack to go to a Google Sheet, and just repeat back what I've been telling you in each module for these. And this is saving about 5 hours per week, which is very huge. Now, annually, it gets even bigger. We're looking at weeks. So we can see annually minus this one, but annually we've got big numbers. And if you're paying yourself $50 an hour as a business owner, then this can translate to, for a $2,000 deal, because we're recovering 4 deals here a month from our lead gen one and the phone calls, giving them a call back. We're at 8, 9, 11, just under 20 grand of profit per year. So 5 flows, if they're at 3 each, that's 15 modules, and you're buying back 20K per year. That is quite large. Now, if you applied this across even further and you expanded it out, and you could sort of take off certain aspects of a staff member that does it as well, it's no longer your time as well. It's taken off extra time and money from that staff member. The financial benefit really, really adds up. You could free up 20 grand, and then imagine putting that into your marketing, imagine putting that into your design, your branding. It can really make a huge, huge difference. And even wanting someone to post something like this, I mean, to free up possibly all of these, you'd be looking at 4 or 5-ish grand worth of automators fees, but there's still a 15 grand saved, right? And these are very, very simple automations. Imagine when we start getting to the larger scales, where we start automating, like, rather than the saving time, you start automating like your lead gen and all your other aspects of the business. There's quite a lot of saving in it. So it's definitely something to definitely audit for your business. Now, knowing all of this, I hope that you sort of think and just go, okay, maybe there is some assets. Maybe there's a couple of flows I could sort of look into that I can sort of take away from this and maybe just implement it into the business. And that's what I want the challenge for tonight. Whether you go back and you just watch this and pick out the points that you want, but I want you to screenshot one diagram, and maybe not tonight, but just try it. Just go in Zapier, just put in, I want to automate from this to this, and just see what it spits out. It spits out the flow. I know from experience. It's a very, very simple program. You don't have to connect it. You can just put it in and just let the nodes build itself, and then you can sort of have a look at it and say, okay, yeah, I can get that. I understand how that works. I see that that's connecting to that. You can take it one step further and go back and watch some aspects of this and see the diagrams and put that into Zapier and say, okay, let's build this tonight. But that's what I sort of want you to sort of expand and open your mind in this sort of stuff, and maybe just screenshot and have a look at it. So I hope this helps. I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of it. You sort of understand a little bit more that how such simple automations doesn't need to be so complex. It can be a very simple 1, 2, 3 nodes, and it can buy back a huge amount of time for the business. It doesn't need to be fancy, but it can be very, very sturdy. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. We'll be putting out videos daily, hopefully helping with anything, any questions that you have. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. Thank you.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.